Hello and welcome to this episode of EY India Insights. I'm Arpit Dharma, a partner with the business consulting team at EY India. I lead the retail industry vertical in our GCC consulting practice. Today, we'll be discussing how India-based global capability centers in retail and consumer product sector are transforming the industry globally, moving beyond the traditional cost efficiency play to a bigger, larger, more strategic business outcomes play. I'm joined by my colleague partner in business consulting, Aniket Deshpande, who works closely with the consumer products clients to design, build, scale, and transform GCCs as long-term value creators. Together, we'll explore how GCCs are enabling core processes, embedding advanced analytics and AI into operations, and evolving talent and operating models to drive sustained value. So with that, I would like to start with a few thoughts, a few questions. Aniket, perhaps the first question to you. Continuing with the evolution theme, which takes me to the first one. Retail and CPG GCCs today support critical processes such as merchandising, demand forecasting, supply chain, customer experience, so on and so forth. Which of these areas do you think has seen the most meaningful transformation, and why does it matter so much for business performance overall? Any thoughts?
Yeah. So firstly, hello everyone, and thanks Arpit for this question. An interesting first question, I would say. So I mean, if you look at it, the way I see it, also like CPR as a sector has been a pioneer in adopting the GCC model. So they were amongst the first centers after FS started, and they've been one of the sector which has delivered multiple functions beyond the traditional functions. So they have started delivering so much more functions. So most of the CPR GCCs in India also have India as one of their key hubs from where they're delivering not only the high volume work, but a lot of niche capabilities. And some of those that you mentioned about, which is merchandising, demand forecasting. Beyond that, they're also focusing on capabilities like the store operations, design, planography, inventory management. So we've seen a lot of that, and supply chain, as I mentioned. So when many of these global organizations contract this works to the media and marketing agencies, which in turn also sometimes deliver it from their India hub. So I think that's something we've seen a lot. Also, fair amount of action, I would say, in the sales ops and customer service as an area, where again the focus is not just the labor arbitrage and the cost saving, but also the main objective there is freeing up of sellers' time, ensuring that the customer processes and policies are diligently applied, and obviously providing more of an omni-channel customer experience. So that's how I feel the way it's changing in terms of landscape of processes and how things are transforming. But I think while we are there, Arpit, I also had a question for you back. One was, I mean, definitely cost efficiency is a thing of past, and everybody is expected to deliver on it. Typically, it's a lot more focus in the initial phase of a GCC setup, but eventually, what starts becoming important is the value. So, I mean, from your perspective, from your experience in this space, what are most significant ways GCCs are now shaping core business decisions and overall enterprise outcomes? So what are you seeing in the market in the CPG and retail GCCs?
Right. Aniket, maybe I will answer this question in three parts. First of all, I believe with the number of interactions, the first questions, the first discussion that we have with potential GCC clients, I think more and more GCCs are getting set up for niche skill availability in the India market, or for driving or ownership of transformation programs, rather than just necessarily focusing only on cost arbitrage, which used to be the main driver till some time back. The narrative is let's focus on niche skill, let's focus on transformation. Cost will anyways come. That is a given, right? And hence, the fundamental driver of a GCC setup decision has significantly evolved over the years. It continues to do so even today. Uh, it has evolved from cost to skills to transformation, and now more and more GCCs are they are talking about agentic. There was one which we set up a few years back, for example. They wanted to build a capability for a combination of retail industry and analytic skills, which they were finding it difficult to get anywhere else in their existing locations all over the world. A cost-driven business case was not discussed so frequently during the setup program, the steering committees that we used to have. The sponsoring CXO went to an extent of showing interest more in the quality of talent, in getting the right quality of talent. Speed to hire the talent was a secondary consideration. I mean, rather than chasing, I need to hire these many thousand people or these many hundred people in these many months, his focus was more on the quality part. Today, the GCC has more than 50% of their global retail analytics headcount in India. That has been their experience in the country. The team here is, for example, actually helping the store manager sitting somewhere in North America or Europe on identifying the assortments in their respective stores. So actually impacting the top line through insights generated from here. Uh, Second part of the answer, I think the speed with which the GCCs are going up the decision matrix, right? Example of this evolution comes from the mature GCCs, the older ones, 10 to 15 years in the ecosystem, who first started building products or services for their internal consumption to meet the metrics that they were supposed to. But after seeing the success and effectiveness of those products and services, what they have they have started betting on is to go to market and offer these to other retailers in the industry. Similar work is being done to impact shopping experience, pricing decisions, commodity trading interventions, and so on and so forth. This again shows the quality of work that they have been doing over the years. How have they won the confidence of the global headquarters around their capabilities, their ability to deliver on difficult assignments and ownerships. A big testimony to the value delivery is Indian GCC leaders subsequently taking up global leadership roles in their organizations, having spent a few years leading the GCC here because of the sheer visibility of the cross-functional work, the cross-functional priorities that the GCC head is today getting sitting here in India. Uh, what I also feel is a lot of action happening on analytics. I mean, rather than the process part, the function part, etc. A lot of work is happening on the analytics and AI side, Aniket. Uh, they are increasingly working to embed those in the retail operations. Every conversation with a GCC leader focuses around how are they using these capabilities to improve speed, to improve accuracy, scalability, and not just only focusing on operational efficiency. Any thoughts you have from your conversations with the retail GCCs in general?
Yeah, and a good question, Arpit. I think this has been the buzzword and a lot of discussions around AI in this space. So, I mean, the multiple examples out there. We partly covered some of that in terms of the store level assortment that's happened in a retail GCC. But beyond that, I think a lot of data is being collated and managed by the GCCs, and it's being now used for improving efficiencies at the store level and the operations on the other side. So much of this data that we've seen in one of the retail GCCs, which is being used to track performance of SKUs across the stores, help the store manager plan their inventory, plan the replenishments, what SKUs to keep, to the extent also helping identify need of an additional store in the region depending upon how the business has been. So a lot of the data that is being collected is also now being used for making some of those business decisions. So I think GCCs are also addressing inventory shrinkage, which is a big issue in many of the retail companies, and this is being done by combining some of the data analytics and AI-enabled cameras, which monitor the store activity and also detect anomalies. So many of these GCCs are quickly moving from just supporting the scaling of AI to making it more an AI realized GCC. And we're seeing that in motion in the market. So I think another thing here, Arpit, I'll add is while all of this is happening, a lot of this is also driven by partnerships. So many of these GCCs are actually collaborating with the startup and academia ecosystem, which is basically helping them to drive innovation at speed and scale. So I think that's the buzzword, which is more not just helping scale on the AI side, but make sure that the AI benefits are realized and combining the combined strengths of your own plus the partner ecosystem. So I think that's where that's my view in terms of how it's moving. And Arpit, I think while we've talked a lot about different functions and AI, but at the core of it is definitely people and the talent. So based on what you've seen and your experience, like as the work is becoming complex, there's more AI focus, etc. How do you think are the talent strategies shaping out the operating models, and how is that entire talent ecosystem being shaped? So any thoughts that you have on that side?
Absolutely, rightly said, Aniket. I mean, yeah, we can continue talking about core industry functions, store operations, and merchandising and channel management, etc. You can keep on talking about high-end technology, AI, agentic, so on and so forth. At the core of it is talent, and that is where perhaps most of the GCCs are coming to India for. And hence, it becomes very important to have a very robust talent strategy. The core of that is actually a differentiated employee value proposition that you can come up with right from not even from day zero, but then maybe day minus 10. That is where it all starts. That proposition, I must say, must reflect lived experience by the employees. It cannot just be put on paper and on those billboards put on the GCC walls. It has to be an experience that the employees have to live in real life. And access to the leadership is very, very important. The employees cannot be just left like that in the GCC. And there has to be a real purpose behind the existence of the GCC. If it is cost, it is cost. If it is value, it is value. If it is transformation, it is transformation. And if it is talent, it is talent. And hence the EVP should be focusing on one or a combination of these three or four pillars. And while setting up a retail GCC a couple of years back, uh, I remember we worked on a very, very pointed proposition. There was a very, very clear articulation of what is in it for me, for the employee, in the communication, be it while doing the sourcing of profiles, doing the interviews, during the entire offer management process, the involvement of global leaders during the hiring process. All these things are very, very critical factors to convey you matter, to convey we are very interested, or to convey you're not back office, right? You are actually going to generate value for the wider organization, or to convey things like you will run a global rollout of a large transformation, maybe a large ERP transformation or something like that. Uh, as a result of this, EVP distinctly remember the attrition rate for this GCC in the first 12 months of their existence, that to at the peak of the great resignation wave, was an absolute zero. And no, there was no other number. It was an absolute zero, and that used to be a talk of the town at that point of time. And hence, what we experienced, what we learned was EVP should not just remain a talent acquisition tool. As I said, it has to be a lived experience. It has to be used as a talent retention tool as well, equally, if not more importantly. What you sell at the time of hiring, it needs to be given as an experience by the leaders, by the organization. Otherwise, there is a new GCC coming up every month, and the employee has an option. Uh, when it comes to the operating model, I believe a critical success factor is how well have you integrated the GCC at the enterprise level. Is it a standalone entity, just a back office in a remote country, or is it well integrated with the ongoing conversations at the C-suite level? Have you carved out a specific talent investment budget because you are hiring so many new employees afresh? Or have you outlined a budget for them? Or for that matter, how does the governance look like? Is that when the weekly or a fortnightly or a monthly governance takes place, is the GCC reporting to the headquarter, or is it reporting a status with the headquarter as one team? And both those things make a very, very big difference in the overall employee experience that you're providing. And hence, the talent acquisition focus has to be more on, in fact, has been more on identifying and evaluating the collaboration skills with global teams, right? You cannot just be functional expert. They also are checking whether you can collaborate, you can articulate your thoughts in a different language, in a different time zone, in a different geography, that very well, rather than just focusing on the execution capabilities, right? Where you take orders and deliver the work. Gone are the days of reporting just the number of software engineers we have hired in the first 6 months of incubation. That will anyways happen because the availability of talent. I think what the C-suite is asking is, when can I hire an enterprise architect? That is the kind of focus that is happening from a talent acquisition point of view. But I mean, looking ahead, Aniket, how do you see the role of these GCCs evolving? And we talked about what has been the evolution journey over the last, say, 2.5 decades of their existence. Uh, what do you feel is the path forward, and what should leaders start doing now to unlock their full strategic potential and not remain just a back office? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think it's in that way an exciting time for CPG and retail GCCs, because I feel that many of these have been in India for a while, and in a way they have got all of the foundational elements in place. So they have got the leadership, they have got the depth and spread of the processes that they own and deliver. They've hired the right skills and capabilities and build onto them. They've typically integrated technology teams, data SNPs that they are working on. So many of these foundational elements I feel are already there. So in a way, they are all set to embark the next wave of transformation, which is moving to a new operating model as we see, which is more AI native, focused on outcomes and build on a responsible AI framework. When we call this as more as an intelligent GCCs, I feel the CPG and retail GCCs are in good shape to kind of run that or that wave ahead. So yeah, exciting times ahead, I would say.
Perfect, perfect, Aniket. I think that perfectly summarizes, the thoughts, the experiences that we have had in this industry, what the GCCs are doing, and gives a good directional view of where this industry as a whole is perhaps moving to. It's clear they are becoming central to the strategy, to the innovation and the execution globally in their own organization. Good. This has been a great discussion, Aniket. Thank you, and thank you to our listeners for joining us on this episode of EY India Insights. We look forward to continuing the conversation in our next episode. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.